Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Nerd Rant. I am Dr. Sam Frank. Really separating my syllables there.
Yeah, those some pretty interesting syllables. I don't know how to feel about that.
Also known as Seth.
I feel threatened by your spaced syllables.
Who feels threatened?
Me, I feel threatened.
And who is you?
I am JJ, aka Junior Wolf. And yeah, and we have a cool topic today. I'm excited about this one.
This should be fun.
This should be fun.
It was kind of funny because when I told Jane I had to get off to go get this stuff done, I'm like, you know what? This is like almost the second episode in a row that we've done on the future of gaming.
Yeah, I feel like that's just like...
It's just in an interesting state right now with all the stuff happening.
If you really think back to where Nerd Rant started, like that very first live stream, we were talking about the future of gaming.
We were talking about console wars and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so
with
like,
our talk of PlayStation,
to be fair,
this kind of stuff. Yeah,
this is kind of our roots, so it's inevitable that we come back to this.
But not just that, we're gamers. We're kind of interested in the future. It's just like Kirito. I'm rewatching Sword Art Online, and it's just like, oh, he really wants to do this just to see the future of VR MMOs. It's just like he's invested so much time. He literally was in the game for 2 years. He wants to see where it goes. We spent so much time in gaming on different devices, mobile, Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, PC, between the both of us, that like, it's just kind of interesting to see where it goes.
It is.
And where is it going, JJ? What exactly are we talking about? Do you have a sentence statement? Because it's kind of a broad topic. Okay.
I think to most easily sum it up, we're gonna title it as like digital versus physical gaming. I think that's mainly the topic of today. We're obviously gonna branch out a little bit from there because there is a lot to cover on this topic, and obviously we're gonna rant about a bunch of different things. It's kind of how we do, but that is the main like focus and idea of where this episode is going.
Sounds good. Yeah. We JJ, I just didn't know like exactly, because there's a few things that we mentioned, and do you want to talk about where this started from, like why we're talking about this and why this conversation came up?
So the other day there was an odd leak by Xbox ? It supposedly came from the court case with Activision and their acquisition and everything. They had to present an idea of where they see Xbox and Microsoft as a company going until 2030. And a leak came out where they showed what I guess is supposed to be their next console, the kind of like in-between console between this and next generation.
Like the PS4 Pro or what, the Series, like 1S.
The 1S, 1X kind of thing like that. So this is the Series X, but it's a digital version. And that would imply that they would stop the production of the current Series X and start this one because it's the in-between generation, with upgraded technology. If they choose to do so, that means Xbox would have no consoles in production with a disk drive, which is very interesting and would be the first generation to have that, really.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to kind of talk about like what that would imply for gaming as a whole, what kind of direction that would take us. And I will say, we looked up some resources before this episode just so we had some things on hand, and I'm surprised by what I'm seeing, honestly. I did not expect to be seeing these numbers and these stats.
I didn't, not right now, but when we get to the point when I feel like it's reasonable, I do want to mention a little bit of Switch.
Mm-hmm.
The main conversation today is going to be on Xbox and PlayStation, just like how you said, generation, right? This is the first generation without a disk drive. And that goes mostly for PlayStation and Xbox, right? Because Switch and all these other things don't really part of that, where they have a console for that generation.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a few things I want to mention with Switch and a few other things when it comes to gaming, when it comes to digital versus physical. And I'll just talk about that when we get there.
Yeah.
But where do we want to start?
I'm gonna explain kind of the idea and argument that people have for whichever side. So like, obviously, digital games are going to be more efficient and effective. It's not going to get scratched or damaged or anything like that. You're going to keep it and you're going to have it forever. That's the main appeal of digital content. On top of that, you get additional sales, you can get rewards points, stuff like that.
And
but
especially
then there's
right now, you have multiple of the same console. I don't need to remember to bring my Minecraft disc, I can just download it right off the bat, off my account.
So, saves some space. But then there's the hardcore gamers that want to have a piece of the game with them at all times. They want to build their collection. And for some people, a digital library can be that. But for a lot of people, they want to be able to see it on their shelf. They want to be able to take it down and look at the case,
Which is why I have Bleach. You know Bleach, right? I have a DVD set. Do I watch DVDs? No. Did I still buy it? Yeah, because it's just really cool to kind of have that collection. Same thing manga and stuff, right? Like, I could read it online, but it's just cool to have a physical.
Yeah, no, I actually recently started my physical collection myself because I now have shelves that I can put them on. So I got myself a few steelbooks, a few physical versions of some of my favorite games, So I've started my collection. There is an appeal to that, and I enjoy having that kind of collection.
I went to digital, but I very much have been there where I loved having the case.
So there is definitely pluses to both sides, and I'm not saying either side is better than the other because they both have appeals, and I'm sure most gamers can admit that. You can just say one's not for you, one is your preference,
Yeah.
So, on that note, if there were to be a generation introduced where there is no disk drive, what would that mean for people's collections? Like, people have spent a lot of time building up these collections, and through things like backwards compatibility, they're still relevant. It's not like they're just collecting dust on the shelf. Like, they can still use those.
I mean, especially for Xbox, right? Like, PlayStation 5 does have backwards compatibility for PS4, and that is pretty much all my games. But Xbox has the 360 backwards compatibility, which is a whole other generation. That's three generations worth of games you can play.
It has all of the generations. Not every game for all the generations, but a lot of the big hitters, like all the old franchises, Gears of War, Assassin's Creed, Halo, like all the big hitters from the original Xbox were carried over to 360 and then carried over to One and then Series X. So they have been doing backwards compatibility their whole life.
And that is a lot of generations, and almost tens of thousands of games at this point.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, there is a lot there for Xbox, and having a digital-only console will, in a way, take away from that, because if people want to use their backwards compatibility discs, they're not going to be able to do that anymore. So essentially, Xbox is like blocking out a whole group of their fan base that own their games physically. Like, if, say, I'm a customer and I own every single game I've ever played physically because I decided, I want to build this collection. I want to be able to show what games I've played physically, like on my shelves. Like, I've seen a lot of people on Reels and TikTok have all these like big shelves.
Yeah, look at
all the
what
different
game
games.
do I want to play today? And they just go through their whole bookshelf, and it's like there's like 300 there.
So if they release a digital-only console, eventually you're going to have to upgrade from your worst console. That means all the games you own like that are just paperweights. Like, you're not going to be able to use them anymore.
Also, I'm sorry, I don't care how good Xbox or PlayStation is. There's no way they're going to give you all of those as a digital.
Yeah, there's literally no way.
Because on PlayStation, right, like, I have the disc of World War II, and I got a free upgrade. I don't know why. I got a free upgrade for World War II to digital, right? I got a lot of digital games I could just play. Or I can pay a little bit and I get, like, a digital upgrade. I don't think Xbox or PlayStation, if they went all digital, would let you have an upgrade for everything.
Yeah, it's just there's too many loopholes there where people could give away their digital versions of games that they don't need or don't want, There's too much loss for Microsoft or Sony in that situation, so there's no way they could end up doing that. Is there a world where they might be able to find a compromise, like $1 for each, like, say I put in the disc to my console or something, and I could get it for $1. Okay, that's something. Maybe it only works one time per disc ID, I don't know. But
there's something, but there's no way they're going to do it for free. Either way, even if you do, even if it is $1, right, that's still $300 for 300 games.
Yeah,
that's a good bit of cash
it's
for
still
games
a
you
lot.
already have.
Yeah, and so by introducing this, they're forcing players into a scenario where they have to repurchase a lot of their games, and that's honestly not a really good move, because then at that point, I'm never going to want to upgrade consoles. I'm going to try and find ways to pirate games. Like, it's not ideal for them.
Now, would you say if they would go with digital, what are the chances of, they'd still probably sell a disk drive, right? What if they are getting the technology or the production to be able to make them easily and affordably versus what they are right now? Because right now they're pretty expensive, right? Like at that point, you might as well just buy the disc version of a PS5 if you want something like that. So what if Microsoft is possibly going this way because they can make it affordably, like $25, $50 disc drive?
I mean, I could see that. Like, external disk drives are something that has been thought about for a while. So if they release it as a optional feature, that honestly could be a very good idea on their part. Because now's a good time to bring up. I searched for like the sales for physical versus digital, like which one was selling more in recent years. And while I can't find like an exact comparison, I'm seeing a lot of different like bar graphs and stuff. And what I am seeing is a constant trend of physical game sales going down.
Yeah.
And I think the closest one I can see right here, there's a chart for distribution of physical versus digital. And that means like, how much money am I putting towards production of physical games versus, distribution of digital games?
Yeah.
And in 2021, this is number of titles, not number of sales. 726 versus 123 were digital as opposed to physical.
Yeah.
So that means, like, to give a rough percentage, I'm just guessing here, like 86% just about.
Hey,
were,
JJ, what number did I say?
You said 80, right?
There's two different numbers. Again, neither of us have specific numbers, but we're just looking up some general information. I saw multiple things like PS4 and 5, 80% were digital. Just all gaming in 2022 was 90% was digital.
Yeah. I found a percentage chart right here. 2021, 89.1 chose digitally only. 10.3 chose physical and digital, and then 0.6% chose physical only. And while I know that 0.6 might seem small, back in 2018, there was a whole 1.1% that chose physical only.
So that's almost half.
Yeah,
Not
so
half.
It is hugely increasing towards the digital only ecoscape, and then even when there is physicals, there is still a digital version of it.
Yeah.
So it is definitely going toward a digital market, and so while yes, we see it as it might not be beneficial for them, if they chose to do a optional disk drive that you can purchase, like say there's a bundle that you can purchase for like $20 to $30 more that comes with
kind of like the Connect type thing, right? Like it comes with a Connect, it comes with a disk drive.
Yes, so you can plug it into the back of your Xbox or something like that. It could even like clamp onto the side or something to make it, look better. I don't know. But if they chose that, then players could save money by just purchasing the base console. And if they had that kind of collection that all of those physical collectors do, they could just purchase the dirt cheap optional disk drive by Xbox/Microsoft to put onto their console.
Do you know what this reminds me of? Media production. Going from DVDs and VHSs to now streaming networks. That's really what we're seeing. Almost all the media is online because it's just easier.
The comparison from like things like Netflix and Disney Plus to things like Game Pass is actually really similar. Like if on Xbox, right, they just updated their home UI. So up at the top, you have your 5 navigation tabs. You have your settings, your search, your store, your library, and then Game Pass. It has its own tab because it's that important to their ecosystem. Yeah. If you click on it, it is very comparable to something like Disney Plus. Like you have your spotlight up at the top. Then you have your sections. You got your search, deals, perks. Then you go down, you have your like genre tabs, you have your coming soon, recently added, play with friends, day one release. Like it looks very similar to a streaming service. And so it's kind of inevitable that the gaming scape is going to go in that direction, seen as most media has already drifted toward that.
And then you're talking about Game Pass. Almost every service now has a network subscription like that. PlayStation has had PlayStation Plus long before Game Pass. Now it's changed. At first you got 2 free games, right, per month. Now there is a premium where, just like Game Pass, I have so many games I can just freely download. I can get trials of games. I can get some old school like PS3, PS2 games I can play. All that kind of stuff for that more expensive version versus just online play. Switch has something like that too. I'm not quite sure, but you have the online, but you also have some backwards, like old school games, so like all the GameCube or this and that, you know what I mean? Almost every big thing has these types of big subscriptions to get digital games.
Yeah.
It's also, like I was saying, you know, it's just easier with that online, like streaming services versus having to go to Blockbuster. Same thing with games. If I want, say, deal on games, and I want, like PlayStation, right? If I get 2 free games, that kind of brings you in. And now I'm constantly there paying for that, and now I'm getting more and more free games. Is it easier to do something like that or something like at GameStop where you have a clearance section? It's going to be easier because it's just right here at home. Just like streaming services, why would I go watch a movie, even if it's for sale, at Redbox or something, when I can just buy it straight on my TV?
Yeah, it's just more plausible to do the more convenient, easy option.
And I think that's one reason why digital is just going so high up in the ratio towards digital versus physical.
Yeah, and depending on which side you're on, arguably, I should say, Game Pass is trying to make itself the best gaming deal you can get.
Oh yeah,
with integrations,
especially with the extra third-party sources that you get from that too.
Yeah, because recently they've been like adding Ubisoft games. So whether you're on PC or Xbox, you can download like the Assassin's Creed games. They have collaborations with franchises like EA, so that a lot of the like EA subscription games are included in Xbox Game Pass. And I actually see that happening with Ubisoft's subscription soon, because for anyone who hasn't seen yet, the compromise that was come to is that Xbox has signed away all of the Activision cloud rights to Ubisoft, so they get to use them on their service. I could very much see Xbox at least trying to incorporate Ubisoft in Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So, like they did with EA, you get EA Play with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. I could see Ubisoft Plus also coming with Game Pass
I'm not quite
Ultimate.
sure how it works, but I know on PlayStation when I see EA games, there is some kind of EA deal side thing. I don't quite know, like if it's a discount or if that's included with the higher subscriptions. I don't know if that's included. I don't know how it works, but there is something with EA on PlayStation too.
Yeah, basically what Xbox is trying to do is make a hub for all of these subscription services. Like if I go into my full library, I can look at my own games, I can look at Xbox Game Pass games, then there's a tab for EA Play, my Gold games, my Ubisoft Plus, and GTA. And then there's a tab for all, so depending on what I'm subscribed to, it'll just put all of that in one section that I can browse through.
Yeah.
So Game Pass Ultimate gives you that EA Play, that Xbox Game Pass, and that Games with Gold all in one. I could very much see them trying to incorporate Ubisoft Plus as well in an effort to make themselves the best deal possible.
Yeah.
And
Here's something
so,
stupid. What's the chance of a college discount? Sure.
I don't think they're trying to encourage kids to play games instead of do school.
Because I get a discount on Hulu. It was Showtime, but something happened with them and they're not part of it. But it was it's Hulu and Spotify. I get a discount as a college student.
Yeah. I mean, hey, there's always that option.
But I honestly, but the reason I bring that up, and I somewhat am serious for Xbox versus PlayStation, because aren't they also getting a lot of other subscriptions in there other than just Xbox stuff? Because don't they have sometimes like Spotify or something part of that?
Yes. So like through the perks tab of Xbox Game Pass, it's kind of like if you've seen like the Prime Gaming section is like It'll get you stuff in games. Like right now, I can claim something for like Kart Rider Drift or Apex Legends.
Like the PlayStation Plus packs for Fortnite.
But I can also claim things like Discord Nitro and Crunchyroll Premium right now. So there are like good deals there that are incorporated. And obviously there are terms and conditions. Like I don't think you can claim Discord Nitro more than twice. But there are like different incorporations and collaborations going on. So,
but that's why I somewhat bring that up, because of, because I think it's one partner, like Hulu and Spotify. It's under one like big thing. I honestly wonder if Xbox would do something like that. Like, hey, if you're a college student and you want to game at college, Xbox is your choice because you all get this stuff too, and we'll give it you a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, I mean that does make sense. Like it would definitely sway a lot more young people to choose Xbox over PlayStation
when they're in their college dorm.
Discount. Yeah. Saving money is very important in that stage of life. So having that option is definitely a lot better.
So I bring that up partly as a joke, but also like if that's kind of what that subscription's going towards, I could legitimately see something like that being a possibility.
I also pulled up these stats in terms of earnings for Xbox Game Pass versus PlayStation Plus, and this is actually pretty interesting. So what I'm seeing right here is revenues in 2021. Let's see. I don't think this is completely accurate because this is a very low number, but $2,900 is what it shows for Xbox Game Pass. I think this is like per month. Then there's $3,630 for PlayStation Plus. Now, this is...
So, okay, two things. One, I'm wondering if it's thousands or if you're not reading the graph right and that's millions. There's... Because sometimes it doesn't say it says like 290. If it says 290, but somewhere in like the table of contents kind of thing, it says millions. So that might be millions. It might be like 2.9 million or something. And two, you said Game Pass, right? Because Game Pass is different than PlayStation Plus because isn't there a separate subscription for online play?
So what I was about to say is that PlayStation Plus, the way they have divvied themselves up is it has 3 tiers. So PlayStation Plus is one subscription with 3 different levels of subscribing. Whereas Xbox Game Pass, before recently, has been 2 different subscriptions. You have Xbox Gold, and then you have Xbox Game Pass. They're recently combining them so that they can have all of these like united earnings and stuff. But almost every player on Xbox is subscribed to Gold because you have to have that for things like online play.
Yes, just like PlayStation Plus.
Not everybody had Game Pass. So while it is actually a close fight between Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Plus, that's not counting all of the people that are just paying for Gold. And so in the end, Xbox is making a lot more money than Sony is on their subscriptions. They just aren't allowed to count Gold in their Game Pass earnings. Recently, they've changed that, so now it is Xbox Game Pass Core is replacing Gold. So while you lose the benefit of like 2 free games every month, you're now getting access to like, I think it's like 20 some of the big like AAA games on Game Pass for free through like the subscription. So they now get to incorporate that, and that will be your online play like allowance right there is the Game Pass Core.
Okay.
But yeah, right now Xbox is making more money despite like it looking like PlayStation Plus is benefiting more. It's just the fact that they weren't counting the other numbers.
I think a big thing with that is it's just one of those things where it's like if you're a PlayStation user, right? You probably have PlayStation Plus, at least the basic tier, so you can have online and play, get those free games, right? And you get some other stuff. You're not getting the old stuff. So not almost everyone, right, has that. Most people do. Not everyone has Xbox Gold. Most people do. But with Game Pass, it feels like I feel like more people have Game Pass than Gold due to the PC side.
Yes, because Game Pass Ultimate includes PC Game Pass and console Game Pass.
So I feel like compared to everyone on PlayStation having PlayStation Plus, it feels like almost every Xbox user has Game Pass just because it's such a worthwhile deal. You're getting Spotify. What else did you say? You said Spotify.
There's like Crunchyroll and Discord Nitro.
Discord. But you also have all of these games. So compared to this, right, I can download it. You get them on launch. You get trials, all this stuff, deals, premium versions. Like, you get the deluxe. All of that. It's pretty worthwhile. I feel like PlayStation is getting there because I don't have it because I just don't have the money to afford that. But I almost see that now. I don't quite know everything, but there is a lot on the premium. I don't know all the games, and I think that'd be interesting if we went through and I went through like the catalog of premium games and you did the same. Because honestly, people aren't talking about it, but I feel like it's not as far off as people realize. The expensive PlayStation Plus.
I mean, yeah, I could definitely see that. And here, I know I have in one of my many tabs, price comparison here for...
Because it's generally around the same price, I think, too.
Yeah. Where is it? I have so many tabs open right now, you have no idea.
Because I know where the list of is monthly games, but I'm trying to find the list of, like, free games with the premiere.
Oh gosh, where is it? So many tabs!
The tabs do you have open?
Like 10, 11 tabs. And I know it was like halfway down a page, so I'm like scrolling to try and find it. Gosh. I don't think I...
You don't think?
Have it. I think I might have closed it. Well, that's not very nice.
Wait, why do I see...
Oh, here it is. I found it. Okay. So Xbox Game Pass Core is $10 a month, $60 per year. Game Pass for console is $11. Game Pass for PC is $10. Ultimate is $17. PlayStation Plus, just the base, is $10 a month. Plus Extra is $15 a month. And Plus Premium is $18 a month. So it is $1 more than Game Pass Ultimate currently is. Of course, on PlayStation, there are options to pay quarterly and yearly, which do make it cheaper, whereas Ultimate, if you want to do that, you would have to buy it in, like, the gift cards for Ultimate.
Yeah.
They don't have a direct option to pay yearly.
Yeah, I always just buy the yearly just because it's like, buy it around Christmas or Black Friday, and I just get a little cheaper, and then it's $50 for the basic.
With Game Pass, you can buy multiple 12-month cards. I think it's up to, like, 36 to 40 months that you can stack on top of each other in redemptions. So if you buy like half price 12 months cards at like Black Friday, you can stack it up to like 36 months.
I think I can stack it too. It's just not a need when I can just buy the cheap $50, $60 a year. That's not too bad.
Yeah. One thing I do want to call out too is Xbox, when it comes to Game Pass, they are very eager to give it out to people for free. Because, like, I saw people that had, like, a month left of their Xbox Gold got, like, 20 months of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate for free because they were still subscribed when it got canceled. They're very eager to get people hooked on this.
And I feel like that's why people don't realize how close the premium PlayStation Plus is. Because Xbox is so adamant on Game Pass, whereas PlayStation is not shoving premium down your throat like Game Pass. Not saying that's a good or bad thing. It's just they're not advertising it. They're not talking about it compared to Xbox, which is why I feel like not as many people... Because $1 a month more isn't that much. It's not like, PlayStation's greedy. It's like $30 a month or something crazy. That's not that much for almost everything Game Pass has when it comes to gaming, right? Like all the old games, new games, monthly games, trials, cloud streaming, all that.
Now, I do want to jump right off that, since we are halfway through, and get into the second main topic that I wanted to discuss is the cloud gaming landscape right now. So obviously,
actually, Xbox... if you want to talk about that, I think before we get into that, I just want to quickly mention the thing about Switch, and we can try to finish up the physical.
Go for it.
And I just think it's kind of interesting, again, to see the evolution. Just like how we've gone from cable to DVD to VHS to DVD to streaming, right? Look at Switch. You know Zelda's a pretty big game, right?
Yeah.
How many megabytes do you think that is? That's right, megabytes.
500.
16.
No.
Yes.
Breath of the Wild?
Yes.
And 16 megabytes?
Yes. On a
There's no way.
cartridge.
There's no way.
I'm going to open it up right now, and let's see if it's still alive.
You're saying the cartridge version is 16 megabytes?
Yes.
Okay. That's because a lot of it's already on the cartridge. And I will note, the way that Switch interacts with a cartridge as opposed to Xbox or PlayStation interacting with a disc is very different.
Yes.
With the Switch, almost all the data is stored on the cartridge, and it accesses that constantly, whereas the disc for Xbox or PlayStation is really only a key these days to get into the game. You still have to do a huge install to get all of this stuff downloaded. So while it may be 16 gigabytes with the cartridge, the digital version would be a lot more.
I don't think it's going to be that much more, because Switch is just able to compress it a lot.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the point. Think about, so you know how with iPhone, the new iPhone has a Type-C, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the Lightning never really changed. Discs haven't changed. These are the same Blu-ray discs as PS2, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of want to mention that, like, with the change in disc, just like that, they haven't changed. Whereas, just like how Apple was trying to work on wireless, I feel like these consoles have been working on cloud streaming, but also just like how I can get the internal space on my PlayStation and I can just directly play games. I don't have to download it to the main drive. I can play directly from the external extra storage. Mm-hmm. I feel like all these companies are investing in this versus I wonder what would have happened if they ever tried to update the discs.
Yeah.
Because they are like the same. Whereas, you know, compared to something like a cartridge, like it's completely different. And I wonder why that never changed.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that is a very good question. I think it's mainly because, like, the disc does allow for a lot of growth, and, like, the size of the disc hasn't had to change, whereas the size of the game has gotten a lot bigger.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's because of the way they interact. Like I said before, they're mainly just a key these days.
Yeah.
And so they haven't needed to change them, per se.
But I just want to bring that up because I saw mine, like, you know what, I kind of wonder that, like, when we're talking about the disc, what is the difference? Because it's also interesting to see the change, because back in the day, I know you don't like Final Fantasy, but when my brother talked about and brought his PlayStation 2 over, he loved Final Fantasy. I forget which one. He loved Final Fantasy. And back then, games were so different. He had to actually, this is one game, he had to actually take the disc out and plug another disc in to continue the game.
Mm-hmm.
For the same save file and everything, because it's so locked to the console and disc. And like you're saying, now it's just kind of a key, like discs kind of aren't as big of a deal compared to Switch with cartridges. Yeah. I feel like cartridges are still very important to that type of gaming atmosphere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the way they interact has changed a lot over the years, which does actually segue us into the whole cloud thing, because they want to change how that interacts again. They want to take that disc out of the equation and make it just digital, which, for one, idea is huge, because obviously that means it'd be strictly installs or cloud streaming, which, I guess, brief explanation for anyone who doesn't know. If you don't, what are you doing listening to this podcast? Cloud streaming is basically playing on their servers. So it adds an element of delay and you have to have good internet. But if you do that, there's no install required and you're going to have the best possible graphics. The output on your screen obviously will still matter. You'll have to have a good monitor to receive those, but you will be able to maintain those because you are using their specs for your games. So you are streaming it directly from them to you. No install, no hardware restraints. So there's definitely a lot of pluses there, but it requires a lot more from your internet and things like that. But it also means that you have the option of just installing the game, but you don't have to.
Yeah. That's pretty much cloud gaming.
Yeah. And so if we look at Game Pass, like, paying for Game Pass Ultimate gives you the option of a lot of the Game Pass games, you have the option of cloud streaming them. Like if I open up like the all section of Game Pass, looking at the majority of them, there's that little cloud symbol in the bottom right of each game tile. That means I can cloud stream this game if I choose to. And now that I look at it, holy crap, a lot more than I thought have this. It seems like any game that is not a backwards compatible one, I can cloud stream. So like any of the 360 era games don't have it, but a lot of the Xbox One games do.
Oh, just something that I'm just looking through trying to figure out because I don't look at this stuff. Apparently on PlayStation Extra, part of the extra stuff is Ubisoft Plus Classics.
Okay, yeah.
So they do have some type of stuff, just kind of like that.
But yeah, cloud streaming also implies that you don't have to do it from your console. So if I'm paying for Game Pass, it doesn't matter if I'm paying for it through PC or through Xbox. That means I can play Game Pass games on any of those platforms, plus my phone, plus like any smart TV that has a good Wi-Fi connection. I can play Game Pass games through any of those because of cloud streaming. And that opens up the doors for so much more like methods of gaming. Like say I don't have the space to haul a console or a laptop along with me. Say the hotel I'm staying at has a smart TV. Just log into my Game Pass account and boom, I can play all of my Xbox games with my progress saved to the cloud on that TV. No additional console required. Like that is big. Like it removes the whole idea of needing a console. Like, it is completely plausible in today's world to be a serious gamer without having a gaming console.
So I know cloud streaming, it's theirs, right? I just have a random question. So you know how this summer I was away, I didn't have my PlayStation, but I was still playing on my phone. Is that kind of cloud streaming, like those remote apps? Where I'm not using my phone's processing, I'm using a different console. Not theirs, it's still mine, but not mine as in my phone. Do you know what I mean?
I don't believe that's cloud streaming. I think that's remote play, which you do still have to have a console for. Cloud streaming would be using theirs specifically.
Okay, I didn't know if that's kind of like, this is one of those weird things that we're learning throughout the last few episodes, that certain terms aren't quite what we understand them as. So I wanted to double check, because I'm kind of thinking of that. It's like, is that kind of the same thing or not?
Yeah, no. Remote play is similar in a way, I suppose.
I think maybe in technology, but just not.
Yeah, it does still have to take use of your console, and I think it requires a bit more of an internet connection, because both devices have to be connected and stable,
Let me
as
tell
opposed
you,
to
it
just
sucked
one
when
of them.
I try to connect a controller to my phone, while the phone try to connect to the PlayStation while on a hotspot.
Latency is the biggest problem, and I will say, in this new console that supposedly leaked, they're upgrading almost all of the hardware that involves things like latency. All of the connectivity things for Bluetooth and for internet, like all of those are upgraded to like the best technology that they can affordably put in a console. So it does seem like that console's main initiative is to push things like cloud gaming. So yeah, that has a lot of implications for where gaming is going.
Again, okay, so I'm reading this. I'm reading the cloud streaming for PlayStation Plus Premium. Ready? I want to read this out. Cloud streaming. Want to try out select games from the PlayStation Plus catalogs without waiting for them to download? With a PlayStation Plus Premium membership, you can choose to stream a wide selection of titles from classic catalogs and many PS4 games from the game catalog direct to your PS4, PS5 console, or PC, without the waiting time or HDD specs needed to download games. So I wonder how many games, and I didn't see PS5, so I wonder if they're just not there yet, if they're working on that, but I wonder how many PS4 exclusives I could play on PC with a PS4 subscription or PlayStation subscription.
I mean, yeah, that's a very good question. Like all of these games that are like specific to consoles, or like even ones that hardware-wise wouldn't work on any other console, you can technically now play through those because you're not using your hardware, you're using the hardware of their servers.
Because again, like I said, PlayStation isn't pushing this, so I literally didn't know you could do this till now. Because they're not throwing that at you, whereas Xbox, again, it's very much advertised that it's Xbox and PC that you're getting these games for. Not all the games, but like it is for both devices. PlayStation isn't pushing that you can play these games on PC.
Yeah, if I go to Xbox's cloud gaming page, they do say in parentheses that it is in beta technically still, but they do have like a whole advertising page for it, and they are like, their main presentation is that you can play Xbox console games on any of your devices.
And I wonder if that's why
the Series
it's not
X, Smart
PS5.
TV, tablet, phone, and PC.
I wonder if that's why it's not PS5, because it might be in beta too.
But yeah, like the way they are marketing it, they're definitely pushing that, you know, it is Game Pass on every device. They're not saying Xbox for every device. They're saying Game Pass on every device. They want Game Pass to be its own thing. They want people to think, oh yeah, I'm playing Game Pass on my phone, not Xbox on my phone, you know?
Yeah.
And this would also allow that, like, all of the next-gen games are still capable. You know, you're not going to have to upgrade any hardware. You're not going to have to, like, get a TV that's... Well, I mean, you will still have to have a TV that's capable of graphics. But, like, you're not going to have to be restrained to any of the things that currently we are. So, like, say we come out with another console generation after the Series X, right? And a game comes out on that console, but it's not supported on mine because mine doesn't have the right hardware. I could just play that from my console through cloud gaming instead of installing it, and it would allow me to play it still because I'm using their hardware instead of mine.
Yeah.
This basically eliminates the whole concept of that generation problem. So in theory, we technically wouldn't need another console generation once they perfect this cloud concept.
Now, do you think that would ever happen? That if they would get to the point where it's perfected, do you think they would stop making consoles? Or do you think, just like discs, right? There's so many people that want to collect it. There's still be people that would want to just have their own console. Yes, you can do it just straight on my monitor, right? We get fancy cloud monitors. Maybe PlayStation and Xbox have their own monitor that could run 170 FPS or something, right? Whatever the next generation can do. But then it has the cloud straight built in. Do you think they would stop making the consoles then?
That is a very good question. And I do remember seeing, I cannot quote it exactly, but I do remember seeing that the head CEO guy of Xbox, forget his name, but he did say at one point that, I think he said if by 20 something, it was like 5 or 6 years from now, I think, if PlayStation's subscription is still making more money, or no, console sales. If on console sales, PlayStation is still making more money than Xbox, they will back out of the gaming console industry completely and focus on Game Pass.
I think I did see something like that. Because like with this whole deal with Activision, Xbox, and the courts, Xbox has officially claimed that like they lost the console war. That's not what I'm trying to mention, just sale-wise. And I know we've talked about this a few times with Apple and stuff. I think people forget to mention, it's like, oh, but Xbox is so popular. All of my friends have Xbox. And while I was looking, in America, so many people have iPhones. Or certain types of things, like a Huawei or whatever, that type of phone. It's not in America, so you're not going to hear about it. It's like across the globe, PlayStation's better, right? In Japan, in China, PlayStation's going to be better, bigger console than an American company. Whereas in America, the American console is going to be bigger than the Asian console. So, because I think people forget to realize just how big the world is, and just how much of the world is in China, Japan, and India. Like that area. That legitimately has, I want to say, more than 2/3 of the world in that little area. And that's why people also forget that English is not the primary language of the world. Mandarin is. Because billions of people speak Mandarin in China. And I think that's just where to see, like, with the PlayStation and Xbox, like, the sales. Not that one is better, it's just, that's just globally there. it's more acceptable.
Yeah.
So to see the evolution of the sales, that's like, and people are wondering, well, why is Xbox failing? Why isn't Xbox getting these numbers? That's a big reason that I don't see almost anyone talk about when it talks these numbers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I definitely think that Xbox is not thinking of just consoles either. I think their idea is to create a gaming platform that is not restricted to the hardware that the user has. They want Game Pass to be accessible to everyone everywhere, and they want Game Pass itself to have the biggest library of games possible. And so when we talk about things like, oh yeah, Xbox 20 years ago tried to acquire Nintendo, well, that's not because they think, oh yeah, we are just the best. They want to be able to put Nintendo games on Game Pass. They want to be able to increase their library for users. And like, I heard they're already like collaborating very closely with Sega, so that one is like very possible. They might try and buy Sega at some point. They had interest in some other mobile game companies because they want to increase that relationship, like that field, because they're not very closely related to a lot of mobile games right now. Like, they're very interested in buying all of these companies because they want to be able to allow gamers the privilege to experience as much as possible.
Yeah. And that kind of reminds me of being just versus just a console. Before we were talking and started recording, I mentioned, we talked a little bit about, like, you know, digital versus physical sales. And I was mentioning, once we find PlayStation, we should say PlayStation to see which one's more popular. And I think we've seen which one sells more and not necessarily which console is more popular. But I said we have to be careful with Xbox, with those sales. Because Xbox is more than just a gaming console versus PlayStation. You look at PlayStation 5. What are people buying the PlayStation 5 for? There's only one thing, really. Gaming, right? Like, play games. You look at the Xbox. The Series X is the box, right? No. Yeah. The X is the box, right? That's the gaming one with the disc drive. The S, the cheaper one, is significantly cheaper than both the Series X and the PS5. It's significantly cheaper. It's also digital. And the reason I was saying to JJ why I feel like it's not a fair assessment to look at physical versus digital consoles and which one's more popular, because so many people buy Xbox as a home media device. Isn't that one of the big things that Xbox One was known for too? Like TV, streaming, stuff like that. Like, people are buying the Xbox Series.
Yeah, no, Xbox in general, while their main like marketing campaign has been for gaming, they are, and first and foremost, a media station. Like, yes, they are focused on gaming, and Xbox Game Pass is their push, but they have all the streaming services. They can run at 4K 60 for movies. Like, they have all of the, like, Game Pass has given you Disney Plus in the past. Like, they are,
we said at the beginning, Crunchyroll, Spotify, Discord.
Yeah.
Like, look at where Discord's going on Xbox now. Like, it's a lot more than what PlayStation's doing. Now, I think PlayStation is going towards certain routes more. Discord just got updated on Xbox, and now PlayStation's finally getting Roblox. Discord will slowly get upgraded. But the primary focus of Xbox is a lot more than just gaming.
Yeah,
so,
and so
when we look at Game Pass and look at all these other things, it makes sense because it's been like that for a long time, that they have not been focused on trying to be the number one gaming console, but home console.
Now, I just want to bring this up randomly because I have seen this around. Phil Spencer wants to acquire Valve. Head Xbox guy.
Yeah.
Wants to acquire Valve.
I know, Phil. Remind me some stuff that Valve has done while
Valve is
flying
Steam.
around my head. That's Steam?
I mean, as far as I know, yeah, Valve is Steam.
God.
Yeah, Valve launched Steam, the digital delivery platform. Yeah. So if they want to acquire Valve, that means they would then have the biggest platform on PC for game purchases.
And if they purchase that, who's to say that they wouldn't get access to that on console?
Exactly.
And make easy with cloud streaming, right? With cloud streaming, do you realize how easy that would be to put PC games on console?
Absolutely. And incorporating Game Pass PC with Valve, with Steam, imagine this whole Steam store just turns into like basically the Xbox store, like Xbox already has their like PC store app thing. It's not the best, I will say, having used it.
Which one?
But imagine it's just like the Game Pass app on PC. It's not very useful. But imagine if they could incorporate Steam into that. Not only would they then have the web page, they would have this Steam application. Like that already has so much compatibility with PC. They would not only be able to then easily port games over, but they incorporate Steam into Game Pass. It immediately adds so much more value to Game Pass PC, but then they could also start adding some like PC exclusive games or, things on Steam to Game Pass console as well.
So I just thought of 3 things that something like this would do. 1, crossplay. It'd be so easy if all this cloud streaming, if you can just have, if everyone has this PC games, but I like playing on my PlayStation, I can then play on my PlayStation.
Yeah.
Because even with cloud gaming, my laptop is still not going to be able to run cloud gaming. Your laptop still needs some kind of processing, right? So if my PlayStation's my best thing, one moment while I swap this was, if my PlayStation's still the thing that has the best processing, I want to use that. And if I can cloud game with that, that'd be nice for crossplay. 2, modding. Think about how easy it would be if I can mod on my computer, but then stream that to my console.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Skyrim and all that kind of stuff, it's so hard. There's such a big modding community like Terraria, and I want to mention Terraria in a second with a little bit more. It's such a big modding community, but you practically can't do that on console. Minecraft, you can't even do servers on console Bedrock, just because of all the limitations on console and this and that and all that type of stuff. But then with Terraria, think about how big that would be for indie developers who make stuff for Steam. Being able to be put into the Xbox ecosystem and cloud streaming. Think about how big Terraria would have started off if you could play it on Xbox. Think about that subliminal game that we talked about, right? Can I do that on my computer? No. Imagine if Steam was on PlayStation and Xbox, right? The cloud, whatever, and then I could play that game on my PlayStation. Realize how much more people that would reach.
Yeah. I mean, that also like opens up so many more doors for Xbox into different branches as well, because Steam has, not only have they released a VR headset, but they also have the Steam Deck handheld. So I mean, that opens up.
It's not native, but doesn't Xbox have something like that? Isn't there like a handheld like ROG something? ROG? That I've heard like you can
the ROG. That's more so. I think it's more so like a Windows thing than it is Xbox.
Okay.
Because ROG is like a computer company, so that's more so like a PC thing. And yes, Game Pass is very easily incorporated into that because of Game Pass PC, but that is not Xbox's object. So owning Valve would easily allow them to, port Game Pass to a handheld. And I will say that in the past, Steam themselves has said that they are very happy to work with Xbox to incorporate Game Pass into Steam. I've seen that said by like the CEO multiple times. Like, they themselves don't want to start a subscription service because they don't feel that's right. But if Xbox Game Pass came to them asking to like incorporate a lot of their subscription into Steam, say like, if you own Xbox Game Pass, then you can download the games from Steam for free, then I could very much see that being the case, meaning that they are in a happy relationship with Steam right now, and those doors are currently there. Like, they may not be opened yet, but they are there.
So I have a question to that, though, because I know people kind of were scared with Microsoft getting Activision. If they didn't just partner, but if they did fully acquire Valve, how would you feel about the monopoly space?
I mean, it depends on monopoly on what. Because right now, the Activision thing was a monopoly question in cloud gaming, that they would have too many games in the cloud gaming space for that to be allowed. They would have a monopoly on all of the Activision cloud gaming. They'd have Call of Duty cloud gaming, like, all theirs. And that was the thing that was the main problem. So it depends on what we're looking at. Like, would they then... I guess they would have a monopoly on the Windows space. Like, all Windows games would be theirs.
So I'm trying to think. There's the main ones, Battle.net, but that's Activision. That's going to become Microsoft. Steam, Epic Games would probably be the only other one really there.
Yeah.
I cannot think of another. Now that I know there's a whole bunch of small ones with PC, right? There's a whole bunch of small ones.
Yeah.
But mainstream game stores, that would be all of them. It would be Microsoft and Epic Games.
Yeah, it would definitely become a lot slimmer of a space. So I do see that becoming a problem. And if it's not allowed, I could definitely see them just being very close partners.
I was about to say, yeah, I could still see this happening, though, because if it's as a partners and they don't actually buy Valve, they don't actually, like, take them under them as a sub-company. But Valve is completely on its own. It's just the exact same thing. Like, everything from Steam is on Xbox.
Yeah.
That would totally be allowed because they don't own it all. They're allowed to cut off whenever they want. I mean, through contracts and stuff, but...
Yeah, which is what I was saying earlier, too, with the Ubisoft Plus, like, having the cloud streaming rights to Activision. Like, they could just become very close partners and incorporate that into Game Pass. So you would just get some Ubisoft Plus subscription with your Xbox Game Pass Ultimate.
Now, what's the chance of all this happening? Do we just predict the future?
Probably not, but hey, you heard it here first, folks.
That's just a theory. Game theory?
I mean, I guess a game theory. Yeah.
Cloud theory?
A game
weather theory? Oh wait, that's a different type of cloud.
Bruh. Anyways,
we have a few minutes. I just wanted to, like, quickly before we end, is there anything else about the leak that you wanted to mention other than the fact that the new Xbox kind of looks like a Pringle can, maybe?
I mean, I was thinking more trash can. Like, you know how they released an Xbox mini fridge? Because this one looks like a mini fridge?
No shot.
Imagine an Xbox trash can, bro.
But wait, they're going to make it high-tech. It's going to be the ones that automatically, like, locks the bag and burns it shut.
It's going to make the Xbox startup sound when you open it.
Well, anyway, is there anything else from the leaks that you've seen that you think is relevant? Do you want to mention the Type-C quickly? The port?
Yes, the port on the front would go from a USB-A, I think it is, to a Type-C, which does allow for a lot more. It allows for, like, transfer of files as well from there, so you could do a lot with that. I do want to also mention the controller would also be updated to be more like PlayStation's with the haptics getting better. I would have a feature to turn on when you pick it up. It would be a lot slimmer, power saving, have rechargeable batteries as the default, stuff like that.
Okay.
The thumbsticks would become modular by default, so you can take off and replace those, which is like the biggest problem with Xbox controllers, at least, is the thumbsticks tend to get drift. So if you're able to replace those
Xbox,
easily,
that's just controllers.
Just in general, yeah.
But let's be real, that's just controller.
Yeah, that's like the main modular concern, though. So
that's a base controller. That's actually, that would actually make room. If this is actually, by the way, is this how sure are you that this is true now?
This is like a 70% verified, because Phil Spencer came out and he put out a statement about it saying, like, we're so sad to see our work get leaked
I told
like this. We worked hard on it.
Something.
Yeah, and that means at least some of it is true. He did mention that a lot of it has changed, so it could be a case of they just needed something to present to the court, and so they threw this together. But the chances are that the concept of digital-only console and the controller, at the very least, are true, and possibly the leaked, like, gaming lineup that we got.
So with that, I want to say...
It is all subject to change.
Yeah. With that, I want to say, I feel like it's pretty clear that if you have at least one brain cell, PlayStation with base controllers, not the Elite and PlayStation Pro controller, all that, that's a different story, but base controller, PlayStation has been in the lead for at least this generation. I'd say debatably last generation too, but at least this generation, it's been a fact that PlayStation has had a better controller. With the
I think
haptic
Xbox
feedback
has
and stuff.
needed an overhaul for a little while
Because how
now.
different, because the new Xbox controller isn't very different from the one, right?
Oh no, it's practically the same. They
Yeah.
added a button, maybe changed a bit of the ergonomics.
Maybe a little bit of the internals, but not like adaptive feedback and haptic, all this. So with the modules, I would say this could possibly make the Xbox controller the best, depending on the level of how good it is compared to the PlayStation.
Does PlayStation have speakers on the controller?
Yeah, so I can. It not only has speakers, it has a microphone built in. So I can.
Okay, yeah. Xbox would also be adding speakers here with this controller.
Okay, yeah. They're
not to mention the
their
buttons and
speakers-
thumbsticks would be quote unquote quieter / silenced, which is very nice to have as a gamer. I don't want my controller clacking and like getting microphone
you see
feedback.
those competitive Fortnite streams of people spamming keyboard and controller.
Yeah, so having that silenced controller would be very nice.
Actually, I think I want to say the PS4 controller had a speaker too. It didn't have a microphone. But yeah, I would say depending on the level, right? Like the microphone's not great, the speaker's not great, but it's there. So if it's as good, and if the feedback and the triggers, all that are almost as good, and then on top of that, they add those module joysticks, I would say Xbox would be the best base controller.
Yeah.
I still like, no matter what though, I'm always going to like PlayStation for that order, right? The joystick, both joysticks on the bottom, it's just the feel. I like it more.
Yeah.
But that'd be really interesting to see on the level of it. Because that's like literally when PlayStation 5 came out with this fancy controller, there was a whole game built into the PS5 to show off all the features of the controller.
Yeah.
It was a big deal. I'm also asking this because I heard about the Xbox leak, but I didn't hear about anything else. So I'm asking JJ.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there was a lot of stuff here. But yeah, I think that about wraps up our discussion for today. Like there's definitely a lot here and a lot to conceptualize, but I think that
it's leaks.
The best thing we can do is just wait and see because there's nothing for sure right now.
But I do want to end it on a question that we are going to answer. Which one do you prefer? Digital or disc?
I have a kind of indirect answer here. I prefer playing my games digitally, but I prefer owning a memento of my favorite games. Physical is the easiest way to do that.
Pretty much the same. It's just easy to have everything straight on the console, just instantly boot it up. But I do wish I had more discs. It's also just kind of cheaper to sometimes, right? Like I literally could have bought on the August sale like 7 Lego games for like $30.
Oh no, I bought like at a discount store up by when I took a trip to see our friend Jaden. I found like 4 or 5 different games, 2 of them being steelbooks for like $60, and these are all like Xbox One games. So that was a pretty good deal. But then again, like you just said, like there's a bundle of Lego games I could get, which is like a butt ton of them, that goes on sale for like $20-$30 every like other month.
$20-$30. JJ, these games were $3. They were 90% off. You don't see that for physical. So I would love to. It's just some debatable because you can get clearance. Like I bought the Lego cartridge cheaper because it was out without a case. But I would like to have the memento. But I think it's just kind of makes sense, just like everyone else. It's just easier to go digital.
Yeah.
I just wanted to.
But anyways,
we talked about that for an hour and we didn't actually answer that. I felt like we had to answer that.
Yeah.
But that's it.
This has been a very, very interesting one.
And we shall see where the future of it goes. JJ,
Indeed.
We're going to do an episode like 10 years down the line, and everything is going to have like HQ through a subscription. Oh, God, no. I'm just going to predict everything, and people are like, guys, this small podcast from a decade ago predicted it all. Oh, no. If that happens, I will, we would be famous.
Yeah. But thank you all for listening.
Goodbye.
Bye.